Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Bound Journals, and this is a journal with me video working in my Daphne's Diary journal, which I am using as my daily journal for the year. And I am surrounded by all of these wonderful goodies from Your Creative Studio. I did an unboxing video of this particular box where the theme was blue flowers, and I just wanted to, while they're all out here on my desk, do a page spread in my Daphne's Diary journal. And since I have a backlog of videos all the time, this is from about 2 weeks ago now, but better late than never, right? So I'm just filling in this page, and we've got some lovely blank space here. And I'm just going to start off by doing some stamping using these floral cling stamps. The page that I stamped on was on the left hand side, so it was a bit tricky getting a clean image with the stamp, just because there was it's all bulky on that side. So on the left hand side of the journal, I've got paper clips, I've got things stuck in there and photos, and so I didn't think of that before I did my stamping, so it was a little bit bumpy, but that's okay. It's still, you get the effect anyway. So as I just go about adding some different bits and pieces from this wonderful box, it's just going to be a chatty journaling video. Maybe you want to do some journaling in the background as well. So isn't that pretty there with all those beautiful flowers? So intricate, so detailed. And I love how it kind of looks illustrated, like it's a drawn image. And sorry about the my camera blurring in and out there. I didn't realise it was doing that as I was applying the ink. I'm not very good at stamping, as you can see right here. I sort of don't trust that enough ink is on there, and so I kind of go a bit overboard each time. But yeah, we'll manage in the end. Just to kind of chatty video, catch up, update you on what's been happening. I have been working on the book. So we've been having our weekly chats with the course participants, and that has just been really, really helpful. And just in the last couple of weeks, there has been progress with my book. So at first, I just had no idea what was happening with it. And there was, from week to week, all the ladies in the have been with me on this journey with the book. They've seen me go from, oh, I have an idea, to, oh no, I've got nothing, to, oh, I've got an idea now, I'm on the right track, to, no, that was a dead end again. And, I'm really excited this week, and then, oh no, I think I'm wasting my time and there will never be a book, and oh my goodness, what am I doing? But finally, I think I have narrowed it down a bit. The original plan was to go from birth to present, and do a visual memoir of that whole time frame. As I was working through it, I just realised that that's just too much material for a start. And the second thing is, there's still some things I need to process and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, a lot of stuff to try and fit into 1 year, since that's my time frame for this book. So new plan, I'm just going to be looking at the past 3 years or so. And I've already read through all of my journals from 2021 onwards, and that has been super eye-opening and just helped me to get like an overview of what's been going on inside of my heart and inside of my mind, and just to see the progress that's been made through the lessons I've learned, but also the continual struggles that keep going on, and all that kind of stuff. So I am excited about that, and almost ready to pull what I've gotten together and work out my themes. And I do have 5 themes so far for the book, which I'm really excited about. Yay! And once I have finished just note-taking from my journals, I'm going to be mind mapping with each of the 5 themes, and from there selecting the material that will go into each theme from the note-taking that I did from my journal reading. So I'm actually using an essay writing process for this. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but I did quite a lot of courses in a feel like a past life, my 20s. I did a lot of study, and that defined my life back then, really. I left school, graduated school and went straight into a Bachelor of Environmental Science, and then I went from there into a grad dip of Mission Studies, and from there I did a Master's of Writing and Literature, and from there I did another sort of grad dip, dipping my toes into creative writing at Bible College, but that one got cut short, and that's okay. I got what I needed from that course, and I honestly say I only did 2 subjects there, 1 semester, but that 1 semester was better than all of my studies combined. Those 2 subjects that I did were game-changing, life-changing. Anyway, and so many things happened from that. Honestly, I think I discovered Psychology in Seattle, the podcast I'm a patron of, through my course, like just not directly, but indirectly through my course when I studied creative writing, and just, anyway, that's a whole other story. But through all my studies, and even before that, in high school, I would write essays. Like every single subject had an essay assignment. Some had 2. Some might have even had 3 as the assignments, essay writing. And I was quite fortunate in that I liked essays. I enjoyed school, I enjoyed homework, I enjoyed deadlines, I enjoyed assignments, I didn't mind that kind of stuff. So essays were my favourite type of assignment because, I don't know, I guess I just like writing. And the thing with essays is a lot of the time you have no idea about the topic. You're just given a topic and you have to write, 2,000, 3,000 words on this topic. My final essay that I wrote in my environmental science course, I think it was like a 5,000 word essay on angiosperms, which is flowering plants, and looking at the lineage of flowering plants. I had no idea about that topic. I'm like, what is this, And the thing though with essay writing is you start by researching. I don't know if this is interesting to anyone at all, but it's interesting to me, so I'll just keep on going on this tangent. So I would, get all the books and journal articles, and you just start by reading, because you know nothing about the topic, so you just start by reading the material. And eventually, you read 10, 20 books or 10, 20 articles, and eventually you get a feel for, you pick up the knowledge, you get a feel for what's this whole topic is about. And then from there, I started highlighting, and I would note take, like, what's the topic sentence for this paragraph, or what's the key point in this part that I'm highlighting. And from there, I would naturally work out, okay, now I know my 5 paragraphs. So paragraphs are kind of like chapters I worked out in a book. So in a paragraph, they're just shorter. In a paragraph, you have a main point that goes towards your argument, or your main point of the essay, and it all builds and builds and builds and flows on from each other in your paragraphs. And that's the same with a book, I realised, is, you have chapters in a book that build on each other and that they flow together and they all contribute to the overall point of the book, message of the book. And this all, who knew that essay writing would come into play with book writing? Because I was struggling so much. I was struggling with what to do with, I couldn't work out my themes for the book. I couldn't work out what I was even writing about. There was just so much information. And once I realised, hey, I have a method, I know how to do this through essay writing, all I need to do is read my journals and treat my own journals as the material, as the research, as the reading. And so I treated them as that, and I would highlight my own journals, and then I would note take and write, what's the key point here that I'm journaling about, 3 years ago. And then from there, you just naturally, eventually you build up, you read enough and you note take enough that you naturally work out, these 5 things just keep coming up. Yes, there's 10 other things that also come up, but these 5 things are the main things that kept coming up. And so that's what I'm going to focus on for this essay or for this book. So that's what happened. It was really great. There's a lot there. I could have written about lots of things, but 5 things in particular just really kept coming up, and they were the things that were still resonating with me now. So that's the 5 things I chose. Super keen. Anyway, so once you get your material, you've done your reading, you've done your research, now you get a lay of the land. you've done your note taking, your highlighting. The next part of the stage is to collate everything. So you get your paragraph if you're doing an essay, and whatever that paragraph, it has one main point, and you just pull from. So you've got one main point in this paragraph, and you've got, say, 20 articles or 20 books. You've got to get each book and pull out the main point for that paragraph. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but that's where you collate it all, and that's where you get selective. Like, I'm not going to include this, I'm just going to include what goes towards this point from within those 20 articles. So I'm going to look at 20 of my journals from the last 3 years and pull those things out for each of those themes. So that's where I'm heading. And then after that part of the process, then you can start, you pull out all the things from all the different references, the books, the articles, and then it's your job to now put them together by writing them together. So that will be my job later on down the track. Anyway, so it really helped me though to figure out, how do I actually do things, what works for me, and then just do that. And look, we can turn this into a life lesson, right? Okay, you might not have, this language of essay writing and book writing might not be resonating with you or relating to you, but what are your go-to methods for whatever you do, for creating, for, I don't know, whatever it is? And instead of trying to do it the way someone else does it, or trying to reinvent the wheel, just go to what your tried and trusted method is. It might seem boring, it might seem something you take for granted, but actually that thing is the thing that that works for you, and it's wonderful. So do that thing that works for you. I'm just going to loop this video since I've got more to say. And that really helped me to, in this course for the bookmaking course, a lot of different ideas are getting thrown at us at how to approach coming up with our themes and stuff like that. And I've tried everything. I've tried index cards, I've tried post-it notes, I bought a whole bunch of tabs thinking I might try the tab method. I've tried mind mapping as the first step, and nothing was really working. And finally I just sat down, had time to reflect, and was like, but how do I actually do writing? What is my way of actually writing? And when I realized the essay writing method never failed me for, I've probably written 50 essays in my lifetime, and every time I had a method that worked. And it's okay, it just suddenly hit me that, book writing can be approached the same way as essay writing. It's just a lot longer, and instead of, paragraphs, you have chapters or themes or whatever. But yeah, that really helped. And I'm not sure if this is maybe boring for a million people, but for me, it was this light bulb moment, and just who knew that all those years of study would come into play to help me with putting this book together. And I don't know if this is encouraging at all, but I hope it encourages you to think about, what have you always turned to and relied on that has just helped you, and it's the way you do it. You don't have to do it any other way. You do what works for you, and I love that. Here I was trying all these other methods for book writing, and when I just went straight back to my original method with essay writing, that's when it all came together. So in a way, I don't call it a waste, the first 3 or so months where I was working on this book and coming up with nothing. I had to do that to get here. I believe that too. I needed to try all those things, and doing those things helped me to narrow things down as well. It got me closer to finding out the way forward. But yeah, if I had, funny things, if I had just started with this method that I've always had in the past, if I had just started with that, maybe I would have gotten a bit quicker to where I am now. But anyway, I hope that all makes sense and is something encouraging. I always think that, I believe that because of my own experience, when people share their stories, even if I can't relate to the specific details, I still learn from them. I still see my story in their story. I just apply my own particular details to their story. So again, I hope that me sharing this is not in vain, not wasted breath or anything. But you can go, oh yeah, I can think about something in my life in that sort of same way, even though the specific details don't line up exactly, which is another reason why I love Psychology in Seattle, right? Because a lot of the time, they are sharing proper psychological theories and things, but a lot of the time they're also sharing personal anecdotes and stories from their lives of how these things apply. And again, not all of them will apply to me because their life is different to mine. They have different personalities than me, and they'll share something and I'll go, yeah, that doesn't relate to me, but now I understand this better, and now I can see how I might apply that in my life in this different way, because through them sharing their stories, I find myself in their story. And that's what I'm about. This is why I like writing. This is why I want to make books, because I believe that stories and storytelling is so important for human connection, for learning, for growth, for encouragement, for comfort. I'm all about it, and I'm always trying to live by example as well. You've probably heard me say that a lot of the time too on my channel. If I believe something or value something, I want to live it. I want to put it into action. I want to put it into practice. And so if I believe in stories, and story is one of my top 10 values, if you've taken the Intentional Life course, you know all about that. I have a list of top 10 values. In fact, I've shared on my channel as well quite a few times, I think, in years gone by. And yeah, story is one of my core values. So I love taking in stories for what I can learn from them and how I can see myself in them. And then I also want to share my own stories, and you just never know what will land. That's something Gretchen Rubin she writes a book, she wrote a book called The Happiness Project, and that's one thing that really struck me. She said this much more eloquently than me. She said something like, yeah, even if the specific details aren't the same or don't resonate, the broad strokes of someone's story or experience can help you see yourself more clearly. And yeah, she said it way more eloquently than that. And I was just nodding my head in agreement when I read that statement that she wrote. And I was like, yes, absolutely. So in the Happiness Project, she went on this whole year-long project trying to find ways of what makes her happier. And that totally resonated with me. And not all of the things that she tried in particular did I care about necessarily or think would it lined up with my values or whatever, but that doesn't matter, because I learnt anyway from what she tried, whether it was my own value or not, or whether it was part of my specific story or not. I can learn from what she does regardless. And so I don't know if this is making any sense, and this is a completely different tangent that I've gone on than I was expecting. But yeah, the power of story, you guys. And yet I keep saying on my channel, this is what I want to do from now on, going forward, which I've said for however many videos or years even. This is the direction I would love to go, is more, there's still something crafty in the background that you can watch, but I just want to chat about stories and what I'm learning, and with the hopes that you see yourself more clearly through the things I share. Not because it's necessarily going to directly speak to you in your specific circumstances of your life, but because we all find ourselves and see ourselves more clearly whenever we read or hear someone else's story. Even if it's just, well, that's not me. Well, now you're seeing yourself more clearly because you've found out what's not you. Or you're more strongly found out what's not you, and then that kind of thing. Anyway, and you know me as well, I'm all about like self-discovery, self-knowledge, self-growth. I am big into that, and I think this year I've really come to just claim that. Like sometimes I feel a bit Fruit Loopy and a bit cheesy and life coachy, and that people might dismiss me when I say those kinds of things, that I'm into self-growth and self-knowledge and self-discovery. I feel like people might be like, oh, whatever, you're one of those people. It's like, and this year I'm just like, no, I'm going to claim it, because it's always been a huge thing that I've been into ever since I was a kid. My favourite quote is, the unexamined life is not worth living. So I'm all about examining life, examining self, knowing self, all that kind of thing. And, I get great joy out of it. So I'm just going to claim it and run with it. And I'm going to talk about it. And I will just embrace it. And this is that kind of year about just embracing more and more of just who I am and what I like. And yeah, it might be weird to other people. Maybe not everyone's going to like it or understand it or want it, but that's okay, because as long as I'm loving it and enjoying it and, getting something out of it, that's good. Then I'll keep doing it and not feel guilty about it. And again, maybe this is just giving you permission to do the same. Everyone has things where they feel like maybe they need to hide it because not everyone's going to get it, or whatever. But here's another tangent. But yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to say in this video. Just wanted to talk about the book essentially and just give you an update of what's been happening with that, because that's something I focus on every single week of the year, and it's a 12-month course, so every week for this whole year I will be working on that book. So it's a huge thing in my life, and I was telling the Intentional Life journalist that that's my main goal for this year. That's my top priority for this year. I've got some other things as well, but in terms of like a project, that's my priority in terms of a project this year. And like last year I was all okay, here's the journey with the book as well. So in 2021, I felt like I was on a treadmill, like just going through the motions, and just life felt sort of meaningless to me. So what I did to combat that in 2021, yeah, that's when it felt like going through the motions. So in 2022, what I did to combat that was do the Intentional Life course, which went the whole year, and to basically with that try everything, just do everything, and just try and do as many things that I could do, like in terms of goals and projects and activities, so that even if none of it worked or whatever, or lasted, at least I got something done. At least I learned something through the process. At least it wasn't a waste of a year. And so, for example, I tried like 10 different types of journal styles. Art journaling, collage, inspiration journal, altered book, everything. And I had like a million journals. Of course, that's an exaggeration. But yeah, and that was good. What I did for that year was what I needed that year. It needed me, I needed that to give myself something, something to hold on to. But that was good for that year, not good for this year. So by the end of that year, I was a bit like, okay, that was a lot. That was a lot that year. Much more meaningful year, which is good, but too much. So this year, I'm keeping the meaning. I tried all those things last year, and I just kept the main things that felt the most meaningful from last year. And so I've got 5 main things, let's say, this year. And one is the book, one is the faith journal course, or the Bible journal course, where I'm reading the Bible every single day and sharing that with the Psalms course for free. And then eventually in April I'm going to be adding to that course, reading the books of the Bible from shortest to longest. The mental health fundraiser, that's a third meaningful thing I'm doing this year that will last a year long. So instead of doing like lots and lots of little things, which is what I did last year, I'm just focusing on like 5 things that I'll do the whole year. So yeah, and then I've still got my dance. I'm still doing ballet. I'm not teaching anymore this year, which is great because I can now just focus on this book. And I was wanting to grow and progress further. So now that I can just concentrate on that, having someone else teach me instead of me teaching myself, it wasn't really working. So now I can feel like I can progress further with the skills and technique and that kind of thing. And just this week I joined back up with the adult class because I was trying to streamline and just have a more simple, less busy life this year. So I was only going to do ballet, but actually I felt like it was time to add in the adult dance class again, because that's just more social and more fun. And so that's been really good. I literally just wanted to do that for my own self-care, as a way of getting out of my own head, and being with the other ladies and laughing and just getting out of the house, and that's just good for my own well-being and self-care. So doing that. But being much more selective with what I do. Like last year I was out all the time. It was a very social year, and it was just like out all the time. And to other people, you'll be like, no, you weren't out all the time, because I'm such a homebody and I'm such an introvert that to me, being out all the time, probably to a normal person is like not out much at all, but to me as a homebody, it felt like a lot. So this year I kind of reverted back to like just staying at home every single day of the week, because it was like just so much last year. And now I would only go out for ballet and church. That was it. Twice a week. I only left the house twice a week, literally. And one other time for my business, for post office, and that's when I'd get my food shopping, when I went to do my the post office trip, which is great because I only have to fill up for petrol once every 2 months. So that is another bonus. But anyway, so I was like, oh, okay, only doing church and ballet, and what we're like almost 3 months in, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm ready to branch out a little bit more than just that. So yeah, we're doing the adult class too. But anyway, all of this I'm just sharing to explain that, yeah, this is a lot more of a slower year for me, a much more smaller, simple living life this year, which is very nice, very, very nice after the hecticness of last year, which was great, again, wonderful, but too much, and ready to just, take it easy and rest. Self-care has been a big, big thing, which is interesting because, this whole year I'm looking at this mental health fundraiser. So it's just interesting that self-care has become a huge thing this year. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, just in the last month or so, self-care has been coming up a lot, and just really focusing on what does self-care look like for me in this year. So yeah, how did I get on this tangent? This is a very, very, very chatty video. Let me know if you like these types of videos. Do you like the long ones? Do you like the short ones? Do you like the rambly ones? I know not everyone likes the rambly ones. They want me to talk about specifically what I'm doing and be very succinct and clear and all that stuff. But to be transparent, I am more leaning towards this type of video where I can just chat about what's on my heart, the deep and meaningful stuff, and maybe we might do some longer videos coming up if this is any indicator of, what might come up. And this is a good way for me to sort of debrief as well and record my own sort of journey that I'm going on. Anyway, so yeah, that was the treadmill meaningless year in 2021, the busy trying everything year of intention in 2022. This year is still a year of intention. Maybe intention is one of my core values as well. I was looking to add to them, maybe do a top 12 instead of top 10. I think intention might be one, although I do have meaning, that's already on there. Anyway, so I'm always going to live with intention anyway. But that's the great thing about the Intentional Life course, which I run, is that even if you've done it 1 year before, it can look completely different when you do it a second time or more than once, because this is my process that I do every year anyway. I look at assessing how my year went the previous year, what I want to take from it, what I want to leave behind, and my intentions for the next year. So even though it's the same process, same intention, same type of thing, because it's about getting in connection with yourself and reflecting and reviewing, and you're being intentional about what season you're in, it could look completely different. That's what's so exciting. So yeah, I'm doing the Intentional Life course the second year in a row this year. My life looks entirely different to last year with the Intentional Life course. And one case in point is the prompts that I had for the Intentional Life course began with a 30-day prompt list to do in January. So you do one every day in Jan, like 31 prompts. Wow, I've got those 31 prompts again, and I've changed it for my own stuff. It just naturally went like this. Instead of doing that for one a day, I'm going to do a much more laid back one a week. And if I do more, that's great. But yeah, one a week. And that just encapsulates pretty much the difference between last year and this year. Last year's like, do this, knock it all out, let's go. And now this year's like, slow, take your time, lots of rest, lots of self-care, lots of Let's just ease into the year, enjoy it slowly. Same with the Psalms, I've talked about this, as I'm reading them daily. It's just a slow, beautiful, gentle practice of connecting with God daily, and it's not this mind-blowing revelation every single day, but it's just this lovely, comforting, encouraging, perspective-changing, truth-giving, life-giving process of just reading daily, and that's nice. Instead of like, I'm going to read all this right now, or I've got this time limit, I've got to read it. It's like, no, I don't care how long it takes, just one a day, however long it takes. Yeah, so anyway, that's me. That's a bit of my journey and a reflection of kind of what's going to go in the book. And I did start an Instagram page just for the book to document this process. There's not much on there yet, but I created that page for the purpose of me documenting my journey making this book, sort of like an online journal. So it's all in one place, and I can look back on it like in a year's time and be like, oh, remember that when I tried that thing and it failed? Or remember that picture I did and I was just so nervous about putting that paint there, and it's like, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? And then remember this moment where you broke through and it was so creative and it was so good. Anyway, so I'm documenting the whole journey, the highs and the lows. If I remember, I will put that link to that Instagram page if you would like to follow the bookmaking journey. I don't post too regularly, so it's just going to be intermittent, but yeah, I started that to also help keep me accountable, and it's just Words Like Silk. That's my email, Words Like Silk. So that goes with my writing side. Words Like Silk is the writing part of myself, I guess, whereas Willowbound is the journal side. They're connected because writing and journaling are essentially the same thing. But anyway, I've talked long enough, I think, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did, because if I hear nothing, I tend to assume no one liked it. Anyway, and if you've watched until the end of the video, we haven't done this for a while, use the word unicorn. Yes, use the word unicorn somewhere in a sentence in the comments so I know that you watched this video to the end. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. I hope you got something out of this, even if it was just one little thing. Take that and run with it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Big special thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in January. If you would like to become a patron in February, and the link is down below, and that is where you get access to extra videos, all my printables, all my digital kits in my Etsy. There are post tiers, mail tiers and journal tiers as well. There is a Marco Polo tier and just lots of fun stuff over there. There is also a link to all of my available courses down below in the description box. You can join those anytime for all of my Patreon and courses. They're monthly subscriptions that work just like Netflix or Spotify, and you're charged on the date that you sign up, and you can cancel anytime.